Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin, and today we are going to start a new series project thing where I went out and found a book that was most likely DNF'd and, given to a resale shop, and I bought it and I am going to finish it. So I got this idea from Gavin Reads It All, and I think he's going to do it slightly different, where I think he will start reading the book from where it was likely DNF'd. I'm going to read the whole thing, and once I get to the DNF point, I will say whether or not I feel like I understood why it was DNF'd, and then I'll continue reading the book. So this could probably end very poorly for me, because if it was DNF'd, it was probably DNF'd for a reason. So I went out with Chris and we went to the curiosity shop that we usually go to on the weekends, and we only found one book that had signs of being DNF'd, which for us counted as if there was a bookmark in it, which it wasn't, because I think the curiosity shop goes through and removes any bookmarks. So if I had gone to an actual used bookstore, I probably would have had better luck. But I did find a book that had a dog ear, and so I bought that book because this is what I wanted to do, and I hadn't started it yet, and I got sick last week, so I did start reading it while I was in urgent care, and I'm going to finish it today while I am still sick and give you my honest thoughts. And the book that we are going to be reading is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I am not looking forward to this. Pride and Prejudice is my favorite Jane Austen novel, and I think it is nearly perfect. And I'm worried about how zombies are going to be incorporated into the story that I love. So, yeah. I will go ahead and just say, I started reading it last week, like I said, when I was in urgent care. I read the first 14 chapters, which is only 11%. And so it is very much Pride and Prejudice plus zombies. It's the bones of Pride and Prejudice are there, which in some ways you think that I would like it more because of that, but not necessarily, because the addition of zombies, which just sounds, yeah, the addition of zombies in the story changes it shockingly. And so my main issue right now is that Lizzie doesn't feel like Lizzie, because the Bennet sisters have been made into warriors to, be able to defend themselves against the zombies, which is great. But Lizzie feels colder. Like the Lizzie from Pride and Prejudice isn't necessarily cold. I don't think she's cold at all. This one does. This one feels cold in a way that I'm just not down for. I was already worried about what it would be like reading this book, because I had worried that it would just be interstitials of zombies in Pride and Prejudice, and it's not. It is Pride and Prejudice rewritten, although a lot of the same language is there, a lot of the same wording, but it is rewritten with zombies, so it's a little more seamless than I thought it was going to be. I wouldn't say it's completely seamless. It's still very clunky, but it's less clunky than I was anticipating. And so I'm just, yeah. I think I already know, what my verdict is going to be, but I'm still going to read the book. So, the DNF point, which I don't know if you, yeah. So right there is, I believe, chapter 24. Yeah, chapter 24. So I have 10 more chapters before I get to the DNF point. I don't anticipate my opinion changing in 10 chapters, but who knows? So we're going to go ahead and continue reading, and I will check in with you guys once I get to the DNF point and let you know, but I will then continue to share my opinions as I finish this book that someone else chose not to. I have gotten to chapter 24, which is the DNF point, and I so want to DNF this book. Like, I get it. I get it. Especially if the person who had been reading this copy of the book is also a Pride and Prejudice fan. Like, I 100% get why they DNF'd it. It's so... If it wasn't for the similarities to Pride and Prejudice, like, I would be like, okay, this book is, like, stupid, but it's whatever, it's fine. But because it's supposed to be, like, parts of Pride and Prejudice, it's so... It's beyond stupid. It's, like, insulting. Like, Lizzie is not only cold, like I said before, but she's now, like, fat-phobic, which I don't remember being in the original Pride and Prejudice, but, like, she's very fat-phobic towards Mr. Collins. And, look, Mr. Collins is not, like... You're not supposed to like him, even in the original. Like, you're not supposed to like him at all. But, like, he's treated so meanly, especially by Lizzie, that I can't help but feel, like, really bad for him. And then, like, there was something else about how, you know, a character was bitten by zombies and will, you know, end up dying in, like, a few months, I guess, or something, which I'm just like, oh, that, like, completely changes, like, later plot in the story, so I'm interested to see what happens there. But it's just like, if the writing was better, if the storytelling was better, like, I might continue reading it. Like, I will read it anyway, because I have committed. But if I had the choice, I would DNF it. But, like, all that aside, with how Lizzie's character has changed, like, I want to DNF it so hard. I won't, because, like I said, I'm committed at this point, but it's very frustrating. So, that's my verdict. I will check in again once I get to, like, the 50% mark. I think I'm at, like, 32% right now. And, yeah, but to the person who had read this before and stopped at chapter 24, I agree with you. Okay, so I have read 75% of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I'm hating it so much. Like, I really, really really understand why it was DNF'd so early. Okay. So I read about 40% of the book on Saturday. It's now Monday. And there's just so much wrong with it. The characterization is the biggest thing. And I'm kind of glad that I chose this book for the first book in this new series, because I have a lot to talk about, right? Like, you know, there maybe been a worry that I wouldn't have much to talk about, but because I know Pride and Prejudice and I love Pride and Prejudice, what this author has done, what's his name? Seth Grahame-Smith. What he's done with the characters is so disrespectful. Like, Lizzie is awful. She's cold. Her logic doesn't make, like, a ton of sense. She's also, like, a Mary Sue. Like, she can do anything. You know, she can do a handstand on her finger. One finger. Don't know why that's important. Yeah, like, it genuinely was making me so angry. And I'm this is gonna have spoilers in it, so, like, if you don't want spoilers, like, go ahead and skip ahead. I will put a timestamp of, like, when it's safe again. But, like, Charlotte dies. And I know in the original Pride and Prejudice, like, after Lizzie goes to Rosine's Park, after she comes back, we don't really, like, hear about Charlotte anymore. We don't see her again. I get that. But to kill her off by having her, you know, stricken with the zombie plague or whatever, which, by the way, the fact that it takes months after being bitten by a zombie, like 6 months at least, like, what? That makes no sense. But to have Charlotte killed off and then Lizzie would be like, oh, that sucks. And, like, and that's it. Like, your best friend died. And, like, I know in the original, like, we don't really hear about Charlotte again. But that's different. We know she's still alive and she's, like, perfectly content. By the end of Lizzie's time at Hunsford, like, Charlotte was, like, eating her own arm. Like, there was no Charlotte, and Lizzie, like, had no reaction. And then I didn't mind the new reasoning for why Darcy got involved with Jane and Bingley. Like, the added reasoning of, like, him worried that Jane had gotten bit or something because of how sick she got. Like, okay, like, that, I understand that. But then the whole thing with Wickham, like, not with Mr. Darcy, but the whole thing with, I think, I don't want confirmed, I'm only at 75%, but, like, I think Darcy, like, beat the ever-living shit out of Wickham to make him marry Lydia. Like, I don't necessarily buy, like, the excuse that was given that Wickham was in, like, a carriage accident, and that's why he's never gonna, like, walk again. Like, he can't do anything. I don't necessarily buy that. I think it was Darcy, which is upsetting. Because Darcy's supposed to be, like, okay, in this world he's supposed to be a warrior. But Wickham's a dick, but he's not he's not a zombie. Like, I think the two should be treated differently. And also, I think with a zombie you would just chop their head off. Like, you wouldn't horribly maim them. So if I'm wrong, like, I will, you know, obviously come back and say so, but, like, I don't think I'm wrong. So those are all the spoilers. Yeah, it's so bad. If you watch any of my vlogs, you'll know that, like, my lowest rated book of the year is still a 3-star. this is not going to be that. Like, I'm going to be surprised if it's above a 2, because I'm absolutely hating it. It's taking me over a week to finish this book. Like, I started reading it 12 days ago. It's not that long of a book. Like, it's like 300 pages, but like, I can on my trip back from Arkansas that I did, I read over 500 pages in 12 hours. Like, I can read decently fast. This is only taking me 12 days if I finish it today, because I hate it so much. And part of me is regretting being like, yep, I'm going to finish the book. I don't know if this deserves it. Right? Like, I'm only finishing it at this point because I said I would. But like, if you ask me whether or not this book deserved to be finished, no, it doesn't. Like, I would have DNF'd it even before the other person had it, chapter 24. But part of me was like, when I saw this idea and I wanted to put my own spin on it, part of me was like, okay, well, someone took the time to write this, like, I'm just gonna finish the book that, like, it deserves at least that. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It deserves to die in a fire, quite honestly. Like, I'm not keeping it. I'm going to immediately donate it again. So, that's my thought. I have a quarter of the book left. I'm really hoping I can finish it today, because I want a palate cleanser. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I will talk to you guys again once I finish the book. Okay, so I finished reading Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. And I stand by what I said earlier, that, I would DNF it at, the 24 chapter mark. Honestly, I would have DNF'd it before that. I'm impressed that the person who had this book before me gave it that long. Yeah, it was bad. My earlier theory, which I won't repeat if you don't want spoilers, was correct. And yeah, that was upsetting. Like, overall, I'm just going to go through Call Pile and then I'll tell you what my rating was. The characters were horrible. The only ones who resembled their, like, original counterpart were Jane and Bingley. Like, and Jane was supposed to be, like, as good of a warrior as Lizzie, but she didn't really do much. Like, there was, like, one scene where she fought, and so that's part of the reason why I'm like, okay, she was as she should have been. Everyone else was just god-awful. Like, the most obnoxious version of themselves with no... Society was completely different with the addition of zombies, which, like, I don't necessarily agree with. Or at least, I do think society would be different. I don't think it would be different in the way that Seth Grahame-Smith made it. Atmosphere got a low rating as well. I was not immersed in the book at all. There weren't really, like, details about any of the environment, except for Mr. Collins' scenes, which makes sense. Was it writing, which is more about, like, the dialogue to exposition ratio? That got a low rating because, like, sometimes the dialogue was just bad. I think writing got the highest score on the Cop Pile, but I think I gave it, like, a 3 or a 4. I don't remember. But I think it was on the higher end. The higher end. Still below 5. The plot, which is more about plot and pacing, that was incredibly low. I thought the plot was stupid. The pacing was fine, I guess, but the plot was stupid. So, intrigue was very, very low. It took me 2 weeks to read this book. It should not have taken me that long. I was just employing some avoidance tactics. Logic, very low as well. I thought it was stupid. There were things that especially Lizzie was able to do that in no realm of possibility would have been, she wouldn't have been able to do it. She just defied physics. And considering in this world, that wasn't part of it. You know, zombies don't mean that the world loses physics. So the logic score was low. And part of me wonders, I'm not going to research this, but like part of me wonders if like the author was trying to do a mixture of not only Pride and Prejudice and zombies, but also of like those old school like kung fu movies, because there were aspects of that in the book as well. And so with that, it's like, okay, the logic makes a little bit more sense, but it also doesn't, because why? And then finally, enjoyment, low. Like, I think I put a 1. So, overall, the star rating of the book was a 1.5 out of 5. So, I can almost guarantee that that will be my lowest rated book of the year. Because if, and I may have said this already, but like, if I hate another book as much as I hated this, I would just DNF it. So, yeah. The last quarter of the book, which is what I had left, was not horrible, but I think it was not horrible because I knew I was almost done. Yeah. Lydia and Whitcomb suck. Mrs. Bennet sucks. Lizzie sucks. Darcy sucks. Everyone sucked. And I really want to, this weekend, watch the 1995 version of Pride and Prejudice, the BBC version, as a palate cleanser, and to erase this book from my brain. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. And if anyone else has read this book and hated it just as much, I encourage you to watch the BBC version as well, because that'll write everything in your head. So those are my thoughts. I was expecting this. I knew I wasn't going to like it. And I still wish that I had started this new series or whatever with a different book. But I will be on the lookout for another book in used bookstores that has been clearly DNF'd. Or at least donated, you know, with some sort of indication that it wasn't finished. And hopefully that will be better. So, thank you all for watching. I'm very sorry if you actually enjoy this book. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I just am very stubborn. And I have a version, the original version, that I already like. So, if you like this book, like, I could see reading it for, separating it completely from Pride and Prejudice and just reading it for fun and absurdity. Like, it's a funny book if you separate it. I'm not able to do that. So, if you like this series, leave me a comment. Leave me a comment just saying hi. That'd be nice. Like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell. I will try to get another used book to do another episode of this as soon as I can. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.